Tonga time. Tonga
Tonga
time.
time.
Tonga time.
Time.
Tonga time. Tonga time. Tonga time.
I have no idea what today's about to bring. I wonder if any Super Bowl champion has ever benched their left tackle in 2 different games in the same season.
Everywhere.
Lights come on. I need to see it, Omar.
Someone
Show
is
it to
getting
me.
snapped.
Show it.
Jazz and I have been married for 17 years.
So, Nate, what did you think about?
This show loves a lot of things. I don't know if there's a lot we love more than talking about some beef. And that's what's on the rundown today here on Only Weird Games. Joshua Brisco, Seth Keysor, Nate Taylor, full strength with you here today. Fellas, we'll talk about the Chiefs' addition at defensive line. Seth's gone in for the film review. We'll talk about what the Chiefs might still have to get done on the defensive line, and we'll clarify some things on the reported 97-year, $2 billion contract that Travis Kelce signed a couple days ago. It's not exactly as the agent who sent the tweet to Ian Rappaport made it sound, but we'll unpack that later on. Fellas, how we doing? Nate, you're outside. It warmed right back up, huh?
It really did. It's got that classic we're turning the corner sort of feel to it. I've been in my house too long, so you know me guys. I love to podcast from wherever I can, and we're just a week away, boys, from doing this in sunny Arizona. Wow. Yeah. Just can't wait to be outside in the desert, hopefully I'll get a cactus in the shot a week from now. But no, man, I'm doing wonderful. And I hear this is a really nice place to stay if you were gonna be here, I don't know, in like June.
Yeah.
Maybe early July. If you know where I am in the Kansas City metropolitan area.
And you, listener, have an hour to go find Nate. And if you find him while the show's still live, you get an exclusive Only Weird Games hug from Nate Taylor.
Yeah, hug.
He doesn't carry like stickers in his pocket. Although we can arrange that.
If you bring your dog, I'll pet the dog.
Yeah.
I'll be very nice to the dog. There's a lot of dogs outside. So yeah, please come on by. I don't look too closely at this coffee cup.
Don't give it away too easy. Yeah, you gotta at least shield it enough so you don't just have an array of adoring fans in the A segment of the show. Seth, down here in Kansas City, it was over 90 degrees on Saturday, and then I think Monday was sub 30. We have had fluctuations here that you would not believe. What's life like in Minnesota right now? We doing okay? You said you're playing pickleball this evening. I'm jealous.
We are indoors.
Today
we did get up to the 60s, then we got down to not quite single digits again. But now it's 49 degrees out. During the next week, we'll have a high as 63, and it looks like the lowest we get is 17. So we're going to be good to go. It's going to be great. The snow is almost all gone. And so I'm excited. Life is good. I'm excited. I'm going to play some pickleball. I think I'm starting to find the groove of it.
Don't mind me.
It is humbling playing a sport where you're playing against like a 60-year-old woman and she is clearly better than you. Like it's not even close better than you. That's humbling, but we persevere. And
that's how
fun.
I learned to play pickleball. I learned before it became the international sensation that it is now. It was merely a thing to do in the retirement communities of Surprise, Arizona. So we would go out and see my grandparents out there, and then I would just get schooled by some grandparents, learning that as much as I want to whack the hell out of that ball, sometimes you got to learn how to dink it, and that's something that can only be taught to you by an elderly athletic superior to you.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you might have something for this game where you hit a ball over the net. Is that what you're telling me?
I got a little something for it.
Only if there's holes in the ball.
Yeah. And only if the court is small enough that I've reached a point in my life that I'm quicker than you'd think, and that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
But like I'm quicker than you'd think, but that's about all I got. Like I don't have much else going for me except how much quicker I am than you'd think.
You know who else is a little quicker than you'd expect him to be, Seth Keysor? The one, the only, the new nose tackle for your Kansas City Chiefs, Khyiris Tonga. Seth, you've gone in and you've looked at the film and you found a big man who is, if I may say so, I didn't do the review, but I would say Mr. Tonga is quicker than you'd think.
He is quicker than you'd think. I had so much fun reviewing Tonga's film. Plus, like, he plays like a dude whose name is Tonga and plays defensive line. Like, if you were to like do a creative player and grade his entire everything that you see on the field on film, including his aesthetic,
His essence,
his build, you would be like, "Oh, what do I name this guy? Oh, Tonga!" Like, it's awesome. I'm pretty excited about this in terms of it's a pretty heavy investment for the nose tackle position.
No pun
It's
intended.
$7 million a year. It's a 2-year contract. In reality, I'm sure we're going to be talking about contracts at some point today.
Yep.
Basically, we've reached a point where you really can't believe how contracts are reported until like someone just writes about it, which, Albert Breer did last week. So you think, yeah, it still didn't stop the level of stupidity that agents think fans have. Well, you know what? We'll come back to that. Because that's not really for fans. It's for future. It's just a tweet to show later, recruits that you're trying to be like, look, I got Travis Kelce $54 million. No, you didn't. You lying liar. You did not. But we'll come back to that. It's a 2-year deal, $7 million a year. It's pretty real, like 2-year, $14 million deal. The Chiefs have not really invested in nose tackle since they drafted Derek Nottie in the second round in 2018. Beyond that, their biggest investment at nose tackle was Mike Pennell.
Yes.
They drafted Keandre Coburn, and he didn't. I don't think he made it out of camp.
He did not.
He did not. I didn't hate his college film. That one's kind of interesting to me. Yeah. But the thing with Tonga, I mean, he really is. He's a good nose tackle, and you're going to see the difference, assuming that his film. I'm so afraid about what Nate's laughing at.
No, I'm starting some comments for later. I'm doing a thing now where I'm trying to save comments that I want us to circle back to without disrupting the flow here.
Sorry.
So it's okay.
I'm flipping over to private chat because I'm going to try to cook about some Tonga film.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, thank you everyone for your patience. Just know, by the way, our listeners, voyeurs, watchers, everyone, Josh and Nate found out I wasn't going to be part of the podcast. Like I asked permission basically because it leaves them out to dry like 2 hours beforehand.
We don't have the power to tell you no. That's
right, but like I kind of asked because it was just like there was a thing, and you guys are just. I really appreciate you guys, and so we're gonna move on past that sincere moment. So,
well, great point. I should have mentioned this too.
What part of move on past that sincere moment do you not understand, Nathaniel?
Well, you also did erase Colin
Derek
Saunders.
Derek Nottie and our lovable friend Colin Saunders. Yeah.
Which here's the thing, they didn't really utilize him like a nose tackle most of the time.
Yeah,
I know, but third round pick, legitimate. Yeah.
I hear you.
He was a part of a champion.
If you are doing backflips, you're not a real nose tackle. That's the rule.
That's fair.
But I mean, a good player. I enjoy him.
But could he play Mike linebacker?
No, that's true. Could he play fullback? Well, Tonga had some fullback snaps.
Tonga did have fullback snaps.
Which, that was one of the first comments on the Chief of the North newsletter was like, no review of the fullback snaps? And I was like, I'm sorry. So, here's the thing with Tonga. Dude is about 6'2", about 335, 340, and he plays like it. He's a legitimately good nose tackle against the run. Like, legitimately good. And you never know, just to be clear, you never know how you know more about veterans than you do about rookies. You never know how someone's going to go from one system to the other. You just never know.
Right.
I think Chiefs fans are going to find out. I really like Big Mike Pennell. I always have. He's outplayed Derek Nottie every year he's been on the Chiefs.
He's in the trees, kids. He's in the trees. He's in the St. Joseph trees.
He is a guy who played nose tackle in terms of run defense at a more average level.
Mm.
And because he had some games where he was really solid. Because remember, average doesn't just look like this all the time. Average has some ups and downs. I think people will be surprised the difference it makes having a legitimately like a good, consistent run defending nose tackle. He's close to an elite run defender. He's close. It makes me feel a lot better about letting Leo walk, which I know might not seem related, but because he was such a cheat code with some of the stuff they did in terms of gaps, it made me wonder like what they're going to do with run defense. He is by far, in my opinion, at least based on his New England film, the best run defender the Chiefs have had next to Chris Jones. And so to get into the nitty gritty of it, he's got incredible upper body power. I mean, he jars guys back. One of the first video clip that I showed that I didn't even like do too much analysis on, just because it was just such a funny clip. It was him against Denver, where he just takes the center for a ride into the backfield, just jamming his arm ahead, and he gets so much penetration with that one arm that he actually gets into the rush lane, which is something that he can do when you've got these different iterations of zone blocking where they're trying to move you down the line while push you up the field. He is able to, the reason that's effective is because even if you get penetration, there are rush lanes that get created if you penetrate too far. But he's able to get so much penetration in the backfield that he'll get into the rush lane and there's not a new one created behind him because he's so far up that they've got to stop sooner than they think. There's a great play against the Saints that looks like that in the review. You really should look at this one. If you like reading about beef, subscribe to the Chief North newsletter and read this because Tonga is so much fun to watch. He's got high-level upper body power.
So much beef.
So much beef. It also costs you like it's like a pack of beef jerky for a year.
Yeah, it's really like seriously, inflation wise, it's worth like half of what it used to be.
There's not a steak you could buy with $12.
No, at least not one you should eat. No. So he's got really high level upper body power. He's also got very solid lower body power in that he can absorb contact at the point of attack. He can absorb double teams. Now, New England did not, and there's some similarity to the Chiefs in this. They were not asking him to two gap a ton, and they weren't asking him to just absorb double teams a ton. Nose tackles don't play the same way they used to play because run games don't look the same way they used to. True double teams are relatively rare now. You're not often asking a guy to like Ted Washington it and just eat up two blockers the entire play. Combo blocks where you're starting off, whether it's inside zone or duo, where you're starting off with, the center and the guard, some form of double team to get movement out of a lane, and then they climb. One of them climbs to the second level. That's much more common. He's hard to move that way. He doesn't lose his feet often. He's legitimately hard to move, but it really is the way the Patriots utilized him, which is similar in a way to what Spags likes to have his nose tackles do. He wants you to be able to, in most run defense snaps, what Spags wants his nose tackle to do isn't necessarily to just absorb contact at the point of attack. When you're usually moving laterally some direction or other, he wants him to be able to jar, get a little bit of movement, but still be able to control the direction that he's going, to throw the blocker and to move towards where the ball is going. It's a really, really cool thing to watch Tonga get that initial point of attack because he almost always jars the guard or center backward as opposed to getting moved. At worst, he's generally he just stays put. Now, it's not never. There were times that he got he would get moved, but not often. No one wins 100% of their reps, but he's a high-level run defender. He's high-level at the point of attack. He's high-level moving down the line while maintaining control with one arm, ready to throw. The thing that separates him from like a Ted Washington type, your pure classic 34 two-gapping nose tackle, is that he can actually attack gaps as well. Now, is he Chris Jones? No, that would be insane. If he moved like Chris Jones at his build, they would have paid him $40 million a year because that's like, remember when Nada was like at his height and it was like, how does anyone ever do anything against that team? So he does have just fast enough a first step. So you think about like how much quicker Mike Pennell is than Derek Nottie. Okay, this would be the easiest way to explain it. Tonga is that much quicker than Mike Pennell. So it's not elite. It's not like, Dexter Lawrence type movement for a guy that size, but he can attack a gap to get away from down blocks and force them into half a man and gain penetration into the backfield that way. And what that means is he can be deployed in multiple different ways as a run defender. He's not just a point of attack one-on-one winner. He also is a guy that can maintain his bounce, moving down the line and controlling his block while gaining some penetration, I guess you could call it, into the backfield, winning that. But he also can attack gaps. And that means snap by snap, offenses can't prepare for what style of run defense the Chiefs are playing snap to snap, because maybe they're having him hold up and eat blockers. Maybe they're having attack one gap. And you have to approach that completely different with a guy his size because of his level of power. He was part of multiple stuffs where he didn't pick up a stat, but where he just caused chaos in the backfield and forced a cutback right into the teeth of the defense. That's the thing with him. I love that the quicker than you think. It allows him to be a multiple high-level run defender. He really is high-level in every facet as a run defender at nose tackle. And that's where, Derek Nottie earlier in his career was pretty immovable. That, in my opinion, got worse as the seasons went along. All due respect to him, multiple-time Super Bowl champ Derek Nottie.
Hip injury in there that ends up being a decent line of demarcation of lateral movement.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where he could hold up at the point of attack, generally speaking. But lateral movement was a struggle for him. And so dealing with inside zone, outside zone type stuff could be a struggle at times, especially outside zone. But Tonga can do that. Tonga can attack gaps. And because he can attack gaps, again, it means that they can't just set up for blocking him one kind of way, because you have to prepare for multiple things. It's like when we talked about Chris Jones being able to win to either gap when he's attacking a blocker, rushing the passer. It forces you to prepare for everything, which means you can't cheat on anything.
On a certain side, yeah.
Right. And so I would call his run defense film, I mean, if it's not elite, it's like a shade below elite in every single scenario. And I had a few people ask me, well, Seth, how come Kenneth Walker was able to be so successful in the Super Bowl? I would note that's where the ability to generate explosive plays is such a big deal, because most of those were around the edge.
Yes.
There was one run in particular. It's one where I actually demonstrated Walker's ability to set a defender up. Tonga was the victim of that, because Tonga completely controlled his blocker, brutalized him into the backfield, and that's where Walker moved forward, drove forward to his left, Tonga's right, forced him to flash into that gap, and then cut back. And because a couple other guys got beat, and this is why run defense is a team sport, right? If you get multiple guys that get beat and a good running back can take advantage of that, that turned into a big gain. But that wasn't Tonga. Tonga played well in the Super Bowl overall. He was part of multiple good plays there. He's just a really good run defender. And you know what? With the direction the league is trending, I'll take that for $7 million a year. It's especially a guy, and I'm assuming this will lead into some questions, maybe because I've talked a lot. Especially for a guy that's I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. He's not nothing as a pass rusher.
Not a negative.
I am curious what you make of either anything you think is interesting about him as a player, or why the Chiefs did make a relatively sizable investment there. I think one thing Seth lays out that's easy to kind of overlook in the way that we talk about it, being largely a 2-down run defending nose tackle type, even saying, I think we've been pretty clear on this, like, even with a little bit of something against in a pass rush scenario, there's still a real difference between being a one-tech defensive tackle who can win in a number of ways versus being the big slab of beef that just grabs a guard and a center by their numbers on their chest and just tries to hold on for dear life.
Right.
I think that's probably the part of that distinction of defensive tackles that we don't make quite often enough. And Seth just went through a bunch of ways that Tonga can win.
Yeah, and so the thought process behind the Chiefs is, well, they needed to upgrade at that position. As much as we can talk about the edge, we understand the interior is both lacking depth and talent, right? So the Chiefs' big hope was that Omar Norman-Lott, we've said this before, was going to blossom in the second half of the season because they really didn't have anybody else to turn to. Well, now that he's coming off an ACL tear, and you still have sizable needs at edge, at receiver. And both of us, I think all three of us have said it, but especially you two guys, and the audience needs to understand this. Once you see on the first day how the edge market is going on the market, it's a lot easier to say, why don't we pivot to the interior, because we need to have a starter there in place of, the old adage, if we had to play a game tomorrow, we do not have a defensive tackle that we can play, or a nose tackle that we can at least play on first and second down. So all those things lead to the Chiefs prioritizing Tonga. And again, I've said this before, Tonga wanted to go from a team that was obviously in the Super Bowl last year, and he clearly prioritized winning while also trying to get some form of stability. So he gets a multi-year deal versus playing, for a number of teams for 1 year. And the reason why the contract is the way it's structured is this allows Tonga, really for the first time in his career, until proven otherwise, and that could really only change with the draft, to be on the number one line on the depth chart when training camp and the season begins. He was in a rotation last year. He played above a rotation role, and now he's earned a chance to be a full-time starter and to see if he can give you the same level of production with an increase perhaps in snaps and overall just a spotlight on you because you are playing next to Chris Jones, which, again, he did not have last year, which should help him in terms of getting that penetration, knowing that if I'm an offensive coordinator, I still have to move the offensive line until proven otherwise to Chris Jones, which should allow Tonga to be a big benefit to not only Chris Jones, but also Nick Bolton in the backfield. So it's not a splashy contract, but it is one where, hey, you're making legitimate starter money. You wanted to be on a winning team. You want to be around a player that has a lot of respect and has a lot of talent in the league, and that's Chris Jones. And so, hey, this is your chance to be, and I'm going to say a name that maybe a lot of people don't remember, but also I think played in the Super Bowl. This is your chance to be a better version of what we hoped and anticipated when the Chiefs signed Jarran Reed in free agency, if you remember that, back in the 2021 season.
Let's go ahead, Seth. You're going to put a bow on it. We'll take a break in here somewhere, and then we'll talk about the rest of the D-line and all that.
Yeah, I did see someone asking, and I know we'll get into this in a minute, snap percentage-wise, and we'll talk about this. I'm assuming we'll talk about that with pass rush stuff. Snap percentage-wise, I'm guessing you're talking a guy who's probably going to be like about somewhere between 45 to 50% of the snaps, give or take. And so really where Nadi and Pennell were splitting a lot of that, I think you're going to see him on the field. He started off the season playing like a third of the snaps for the Patriots. And this is what you want to see, especially with a coach like Vrabel. You saw that those numbers ramp up. He was never more than like a halftime player, though. And that makes sense for a nose tackle because he is, and I need to say this, he is a nose tackle. He is a nose tackle. He is a nose tackle.
Let's actually do this, Seth. We're not going to move on beyond Tonga time after the break. We'll take our time out here. When we come back, I do want you to talk a tiny bit more about the pass rush element of his game that is and isn't there, and how we can say, hey, he's an elite run defender in a lot of ways, and they're giving him real money, but he's not getting the kind of money that you give to disruptive pass rushers and do-it-all three-down defensive tackles. I want you to tell us why that is after the break.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others, and not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
right, Seth. So the other side of the coin and the third down, which is people keep telling me often an important one for defenses playing football. What's the downside of Tonga, this deal, and I guess also not that it's pure downside as a pass rusher. What makes him interesting in that regard, even as it's obviously not what he's built his career around so far?
Right. In terms of a pass rusher, and this is I want to really manage expectations on this. He's not nothing. He's also not a guy that you should expect to collect a sack this year. And that, for some people, that might not make sense together. If you go back and look at his pass rush snaps, I probably watched, it was about 75 to 100 of them. What you'll see with consistency is that he has the ability to walk guys back into the pocket at times relatively quickly. And so because of that, he's a little complicated to leave one-on-one, but he's not a good enough pass rusher that they can necessarily dedicate guys intentionally to him. So he kind of puts defense or offenses in kind of a weird spot because he's not a pass rusher, but he's not a nothing either. I wouldn't call him, he's definitely not a dude in the pass rush, and he's barely a guy in the pass rush. But the way that I set these up, you got your guys that are complimentary pass rushers and you got your dudes. But I would just say is that Pennell and Noddy were non-factors as pass rushers. I like this from Seamus. Setup guy more than a finisher. Much more
Weird
so.
how you're seeing that while being in the private chat to keep your focus. That's
Whoa.
strange.
Oh, yeah. I changed that during the break. So that's true. That's a true story. It's
look at you.
He has the ability to not be a negative. And that matters. And that's one thing that not all nose tackles are there. Noddy's there. Pennell, a little more so, was able to contribute a little to the pass rush 2 or 3 years ago. The last couple of years, not as much. And so he's not a guy that that you really want on the field on 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 7, or even maybe like 2nd and 10. Generally speaking, this is where okay, if ONL is healthy and, they've stopped this ridiculous,
Here we go.
I'm not going to do it. We don't need to. And they've just decided to let him, do what he did in college. That's your 3rd down guy, right? He's your rotational guy and your 3rd down guy. And if he's good at rushing the passer, it won't matter that he's only playing 50% of the snaps, if like ONL, or 40% of the snaps. And if Tonga is good at run defense, it won't matter that he's only playing 40% of the snaps, because you're able to do those things well. He also has the ability to convert from run defense on play action to starting to crush the pocket. That was the problem for Noddy and Pennell, is the minute, because you got to watch for the run. So you play that like a run, and then it was over for them. They were a complete non-factor one-on-one every time after that. With Tonga, he's a non-factor some of the time, maybe even the majority of the time, but not every time. And that matters. That's what I mean by, it sounds like almost like a backhanded compliment saying someone's a non-zero as a pass rusher, but actually coming out of college, that was one of the things that he was touted as he might have just enough quickness to maybe do some things because of his upper body power. And because of he's just such a strong guy, he can help crush the pocket much more consistently than what you could see anymore from Noddy or Pennell. So it's not a zero there, but he's definitely not an obvious pass rushing down guy.
So my question, Seth, is for those who have time on their hands and are interested in watching the Patriots postseason run, was Tonga more of a representative setup man, 8th, 9th inning guy against the Broncos in the AFC Championship game, or because of the score and because of the game script, was he able to even show that much in the Super Bowl against the Patriots?
The Super Bowl doesn't show. The Super Bowl became a little more because they've got to pass because they're losing and because of everything that was going on. And the Patriots tried really hard not to let the game script get away from them, but it was just tough. Seattle's just running the ball because now they kind of figured some stuff out here. I would just say that if you the Broncos game is a decent one to watch because they also got more healthy on their defensive line because there were some injury problems with Barrymore. later in the season, he played more often on third down than he did early in the season.
Correct.
And that's where you actually saw, like, there were snaps where he didn't do much, but there were more snaps than you'd think were like, wow, he moved the line of scrimmage back 2 yards. And look, that matters.
Right.
One of the snaps I showed, Aaron Rodgers had to drift to his left because Tonga had just pushed the blocker into the backfield. That stuff does matter. That's part of that complementary pass rush. So again, being a non-zero, and it looked like he had the ability to maybe do a little bit more as the year went along and as he was asked to play more snaps. It's not something I would rely on, but that's where so much of it for the Chiefs with late career Pennell and with Derek Nottie, who he's been, is that they accepted 0 from that. And if you can have non-zero there, every little bit helps.
Like a 2.
Adding 2 snaps where this guy is crushing the pocket as opposed to 0. That adds up over time. And that's one reason why, when we talk about the frequency and intensity of pressure, a guy that's not being completely stonewalled and is resetting the line of scrimmage even a couple of yards, that makes the entire pocket a little bit muddier and it makes life easier on everywhere else. So there's potential there. I wouldn't necessarily count on it. He's definitely not like an obvious pass rushing down guy. But if he can be as high level against the run as he was in New England and continue to be non-zero against the pass on those first and second downs where there's play action or whatever, $7 million a year is a great price for that.
So let's fix the pass rush then while we're here. I'll go ahead and give the first honor to the super chat here from Dub Freak Freer, who's with £9.99 yet again. Thank you, chap. He says, "Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Nate, Cam Jordan? ? Just smoke or maybe something." Seth, we'll get to your writings on Cam Jordan in a moment. But Nate, how serious is that? And also, should we just stop waiting on any more moves before the draft?
I won't say any moves before the draft, but it's clear to me that, yes, this is a legitimate option for the Chiefs. It's clear that they've been wooing Cam Jordan, both from a personnel and player department. There's a reason why Quist Jones reached out to him on Twitter for all of us to see. And it was fascinating that even Cam Jordan knew when Travis Kelce's contract was officially signed. Now, they might have to do some cap mechanisms to create a little bit more space. That I would think would actually be more interesting than even maybe a potential signing between now and the draft. Because, shockingly, we are less than a month from the draft. Like, that is just mind-boggling to me in a sense. But I realized that yesterday that yesterday was 1 month until opening night of the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I wrote about it on ESPN.
Are you in a bird sanctuary? They are getting louder.
They are living their best.
Them?
No, I wish I could.
I'm sorry.
They're living their best life.
Scare a couple of them off.
Well, there's awnings here, and they haven't desecrated me, so they can canoodle however much they want.
I'm
in my
sorry
opinion.
for a while it's been like, oh, we've got this pleasant chirp of birds, and then all of a sudden it sounded like it was the birds.
Yeah, it's becoming a little more aggressive, like a little more like, why are you ignoring me? Like,
yes,
no.
It sounds like you're interrupting their podcast. Is what it sounds like.
I am busy being one with nature, and I do want the birds to succeed. Now, I'm not giving them food. I've just given them lovely company. And look, it's spring, man. If we can't all canoodle, what are we doing with our lives? All right, I want to canoodle right now. Anyway, as it relates to Cam Jordan, I'm sure the Chiefs are.
I hope you don't.
Imagining canoodling with him, contractually, obviously. Look, this should be their, Cam Jordan was actually very productive on a abysmally bad team last year. And if you could just copy and paste his stats from last year to this upcoming season in a Chiefs uniform, the Chiefs would do it in a heartbeat, guys. I think as we rephrase these things, or I guess, continue the conversation between now, draft, and even in the post-draft, guys, I cannot express to you enough how bad the Chiefs' pass rush was outside of Chris Jones last year. You think it's bad. It was worse, all right? So because the compensatory formula, yes, Mr. Brisco.
Right now, it's worse than it was last year. Just as things stand right now, it is worse than it was at the end of last. Just like they've just lost players and haven't added any there. The draft is still coming. I'm just making a note of that.
Correct. Yeah. And look, as we said before, we saw some of them contracts for defensive ends that may not be or were not as productive, although younger, with more potential, with more ascending capabilities left in them than Cam Jordan. It's fascinating to me that if Cam Jordan were to arrive, A, how the contract would look, B, would they do something similar in a 2-year fashion where it's really a 1-year deal? I mean, all those questions we can get to later on, but I just want to do a little bit of, what Jordan did last year. 10.5 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. That's just the baseline of his statistics last year. And now we will get to Seth discussing if the Chiefs were to do this move post, draft, or even right up to the draft as a bit of a buffer, as a bit of a, hey, we have somebody on the starting line. You don't know where we might be going at 9, or maybe we feel comfortable trading down if we somehow have Cam Jordan in the mix. And, he's not going to mess up our potential compensatory pick for next season. That leads us to Seth as to why he would be an effective signing for 2026 without, again, as we said before, overextending yourself from a salary cap standpoint or how you want to structure the roster in 2027.
Some things make so much sense that I've reached the point to where I'm borderline going to get annoyed if they don't happen. And that's the problem with mock draft season. That's the problem with free agency stuff. Here's the thing with Cam Jordan. It's worth noting that if you look at the prior 2 years besides the 2025, before the 2025 season, he had 4 sacks and 2 sacks, and he didn't have a ton of quarterback hits those years either. But I just watched a handful of his snaps. I mean, he's not what he was at his pinnacle, which makes sense because the man's going to turn 37 here in a few months. Mm-hmm. But he was better last year by a sizable margin than Charles Omenihu or Mike Dana were in Kansas City in terms of being able to win one-on-one. He's long been a good run defender. He has 35-inch arms, in case you're wondering, before anyone asks. So maybe you could you got some long arms. Those are
36, you said?
Will that dog
35-inch arms.
35 is going to make the math less funny. That's 1.16 Ruben Baines.
36 would have, you get that 1, you get that 2 in there.
1.2. I was trying to, I had to make it work.
So the deal, I mean, he knows how to win. He knows how to free his hands. He doesn't have the same explosion that he used to, but he wins primarily with power. He crushes the pocket. He's got good length. He's strong setting the edge. Tight ends can't match up well. Bro's got the whole world in his arms. Thank you.
Just comment from Just a Little Gizmo broke my rule of I've been saving comments, but Bro's got the whole world in his arms. I felt like we'd be a total party wife for us. So I just wanted to highlight that. That's really funny.
So the fit is really good. He's a rotational guy at this point in his career. Right now, they don't have that. Right now, their starting edges are George Karlaftis and Ashton Gillotte. And I hope Ashton Gillotte takes a step forward in year 2. He was playable last year, but didn't really produce much as a pass rusher. I hope he takes a step forward. That'd be great. I hope Norman Lott comes back strong from injury and takes a step forward. That would be great. As of right now, your pass rush is Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and I hope he can be better. That's not a great way to go into the draft. You go in with Cam Jordan, again, as a guy who, can rotate with Gillotte to where you keep him on kind of a pitch count, help keep him healthy, keep him fresh throughout the year.
Yep.
And that means that your third down snaps are no longer, now it becomes, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Cam Jordan, and probably Omar Norman Lott. That's looking a lot more viable because you've got someone out there who was as productive on pass rushing downs as Karlaftis last year, instead of having Karlaftis and then a steep drop off. And Karlaftis was already a steep drop off from Jones. So having that third guy, again, if you can just be, 5-10% better in that area, it matters so much in terms of what else you can do defensively. He makes sense in terms of build, in terms of how he wins. He's a legendary locker room guy. He's just like, it's like, when the Chiefs brought in Terrell Suggs, it was like, man, that makes sense. And it went super well. I remember watching Terrell Suggs talk to, I think it was Derek Nottie on the mic'd up out following the Super Bowl. And he was looking at one of the Chiefs players who had never won one before. And Suggs obviously had. And he was looking at him, he's like, you're a champion now. No one can ever take that from you. And I was like, man, that's the kind of guy you want to add. And Cam Jordan, I believe, has won a Super Bowl. I believe he knows what it takes to get there. And he's a guy that you can bring in. It's a year mercenary thing. Hey, bro, you want to win a Super Bowl. You want to see if your life's easier playing next to Chris Jones. Boy, do you fit what we generally like to do. It makes so much sense that, again, I'm going to be borderline angry if it doesn't happen.
And again, right now, this is not a joke. And I've mentioned that at the front end because a lot of times this guy's been kind of a punchline when we're talking about the group. Literally, this team's number 3 defensive end on the depth chart right now is Felix Udike-Uzomah, a guy who had unproductive first 2 seasons and then didn't play last year. He's literally your 3rd defensive end right now as things stand.
Hey. Contract year, prove it year, fresh hamstrings.
I hope it works out, but that's still Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and a bunch of wishes. I mean, that's just still where we stand right now in Tonga on 1st and 2nd down.
Oh, Cam Jordan has not won a Super Bowl. Thank you, Sean Kurtz. He's right. He joined the Saints a couple years later.
Yeah, I think of him as being in the league forever, and the Saints having won that Super Bowl, and I didn't. So
that's probably why he would want to as well. So there you go. Mm-hmm. And we'll see. FAU got hurt last year, but like you said, it's a bunch of hopes and wishes.
Just need something, and then you can also hope and wish that Ruben Bain's there at 9, but you're still hoping and wishing. You can hope that one of those top edge rushers is available, but you just don't know. I don't, like you mentioned this in your piece, Seth, and we've talked about this every offseason now for half a decade at least. I understand very much wanting to get to the draft with a starting lineup where you can just say, hey, like, we've got our pieces set, but I don't want to hold them to the standard of, could this roster win the Super Bowl before the draft?
Yeah,
because this is a different setup because they're back to having 2 first-round picks. Like, you judge them probably more like you did after the Tyreek Hill trade. You've got a top 10 pick and another first. So like, I'm willing to give a little more leeway than even as we've talked about that as kind of a measuring stick. And still, it just feels like the defense is just like half-baked right now. Genuinely that you are, again, hoping for a step up for Ashton Gelati and Omar Norman-Lott to be your number 3 end and tackle, respectively. You need a starting defensive end, or at least a guy who can take a serious rotation if the thesis off of last season was, man, the pass rush and lack thereof really hurt us last year. And right now, again, I'm just like literally speaking, they could bring back Mike Dana and it would be thinner than it was last year because Charles Omenihu is a commander.
Well, you have to remember too that like the Chiefs did not have starters on night 1 of the 2022 draft. That's why that draft will always be remembered. Because they immediately got a starter in Trent McDuffie and immediately got a starter in George Karlaftis. And again, George Karlaftis bucked the trend because he was a good player in college, wasn't great, but was clearly an NFL starting defensive end on day 1 of his NFL career. So if the Chiefs can do that once again, you can keep that in mind. But like, yeah, they don't have to have like a full roster set up ready to go on day 1 of this draft, but they do have 2 picks, and we obviously know they have areas of needs. And so if they can find the right players to fit those needs in, you would assume, premium positions like a defensive end, then that would be very helpful. It would also be nice too to not necessarily have to take it all the way up to training camp to convince someone like Carlos Dunlap to come aboard, when, as of right now, you're playing footsie with Cam Jordan, and he probably would like to know where he's playing football next season before the draft.
Speaking of playing footsie, let's talk about Travis Kelce's contract and what it actually is, and not what owners and a couple of these group text merchants are, the agents and group text merchants are handing off side by side. We got details on this that Albert Breer wrote up over in SI like a week and change ago. But then Travis Kelce signs the actual papers, and Ian Rappaport tweets out tagging both the agent and the agency. One of those accounts was protected, so you're not getting any followers from that anyway. I'm confused by that, but whatever. I'll help manage agents' socials if they pay me significantly. I'm offering that service here now. I will do consulting to make your. I'll tell you a detail on that after you guys talk about Kelce some. But so that gets reported as a 3-year deal worth like $50-some million. Here's what Albert Breer reported a week before the paperwork got faxed in. Kelce gets $12 million fully guaranteed, $3 million in base salary, $9 million in a series of roster bonuses. One is a training camp bonus of $3 million. The remaining $6 million will come in per game roster bonuses.
You will, for you willing to come to St. Joseph? Hey, give him another $3 million. Give him another $3 million.
It's all fully guaranteed. It doesn't need to be active on game day to activate those. Here's what Breer says. The contract is broken up this way to manage the cap hits, exploiting the 50% rule and a post-June 1st mechanism to spread them out over 3 years. Kelce, as such, has about a $5 million cap hit this year, and then dead money hits of $3.5 million each of the next 2 years. He goes on to explain, the Chiefs don't use the void years. This is a tactic the Eagles have used. Those are his words, not mine. And there are minimum salaries and dummy years down the line with a $40 million guarantee for 2028 that vests on June 8th of next year. So the Chiefs have to.
Wow, what interesting timing. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Isn't that fascinating? Look, folks, Nate, you can take us inside the machine here a little bit if you want. But this is a 1-year deal for Travis Kelce with some mechanisms to spread out that cap hit a little bit without technically using void years in a way that I'll just speak for myself, I think is smart. Travis Kelce's worth having a $3.5 million dead cap hit in 2027 and 2028, some change at the bottom of the couch to make sure you can field a full roster this year without having to guarantee $30 more million to Chris Jones.
Correct. And even if you wanted to restructure Chris Jones' contract, you don't have to dip into it that much, or it would lessen your need to have to do that. So let's, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to class. Give me a few minutes here. Let me put on my jacket with the patches on the elbows. Okay. We're going to get insider right now. All right. For Travis Kelce.
Excuse me?
We're going to get inside right now. I'm supposed to be the Chiefs insider, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. No, for sure.
I'm insider. So for Travis Kelce, this is a win. He gets $12 million to put his body on the line for his teammates, right? And he can tell you as a fan, he can tell the organization, and he can tell his teammates in the locker room, hey, I did all of us a favor. Not only did I come back, but I actually helped out the team so that maybe we can get Cam Jordan because I didn't take up a huge percentage of the salary cap, even though my money is going to be in the bank, okay? And you, sir, you were saying, well, I don't know, man. For the last year, he should be getting overpaid. Well, technically, he's not overpaid. He's still a top 5 tight end. He is within market range. And even though technically he was a free agent, he was never a free agent. So with that being said, it's a win-win for Kelce. For the Chiefs, it's a win-win because we never, ever do void years. But for Travis Kelce, we can move some money around. And so if you're like, Nate, why don't they ever do void years? Well, you see, that player has to be an icon, a future Hall of Famer, someone who's willing to refuse retirement for another year to come back to help save his bro as he's in rehab, okay? So the Chiefs can say, hey, guys, we never do void years because we never do them. But also, he's never getting to free agency, and that's the win for the Chiefs. Because you structured it this way, he will never, ever, ever talk to the Cleveland Browns again. He will never, ever, ever think about playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He will never, ever, ever want to play for, I don't know, the New York Giants. Anyway, we can put all that to rest because the way we structured it is it's up to us, kind of like a team option if we want to, go a certain direction in June because you've already indicated to us you done playing football. But hey, if you want to come back for 2027, we got plenty of time to cut that deal up, restructure it, move some more money around. Not going to be void years. Never going to be void years. Never, ever, 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 ever going to be a void year. But we can move some money around if you want to come back in 2027, especially if, I don't know, we went back to the Super Bowl and like your body's feeling great. And like, I don't know, maybe Taylor's at a different stage in her life too. Win-win for the Chiefs. Objectively a win-win for Kelce, objectively a win-win for the Chiefs. Here's where it gets murky, kids. But I got a job to do. I represent you. I have no leverage. My name is Agent. I have represented Travis Kelce for 13 years.
My name is Mike Simon.
Now, see, you didn't have to do that. Okay, I'm Mike Simon.
Yeah, it's not like he had Ian Rappaport put his name in a tweet
and his Twitter handle with more information
Ian's
to be announced.
578 million Twitter followers. But now
439.
Like, I didn't know he was going to put my name in there. Yeah, we got the Jimmy Stewart voice again.
Jimmy Stewart, Travis Kelce's agent.
Well, how will any players know who I represent? I've only been representing Travis Kelce for 13 years. I bet this is the only way anyone will ever hear of me.
They're closing down the void years.
However stupid people, it's condescending. It is condescending to me. Look, Mike, congratulations on all your success. Well done. I'm sure you're doing great. It's so condescending that you think that an average NFL fan is going to see that tweet from Ian Rappaport and think anything other than, Mike, don't do that. Like that's like you like did the good one.
Verbatim.
Do that thing.
I'm hoping that people just looked over it and skipped the details. I'm gonna read it so it's fair, and then you're all gonna go, yeah, they're being fair to him. And then I'm gonna break two pieces of news to you, okay?
Okay.
So Rap Sheet tweets, #Chiefs Pro Bowl tight end Travis Kelce has signed his contract, officially locking him in for 2026. It's a 3-year, $54.735 million deal that can be worth up to 57.735. That's $3 million more that he added there to make us do that math. A $18.245 million average done by agent Mike Simon, parentheses, Mike at VMG Sports of at Milk Honey Sport. Year one is $12 million plus $3 million in incentives. So you can, if you'd like to, you can follow Milk and Honey Sports on Twitter. You'd be joining 793 others. You can't follow at Mike VMG Sports, all lowercase. His name's all lowercase, just as Mike Simon. You can't follow him because his posts are protected. I'll put it in a request, I guess.
Please do.
He got 439 followers. Yeah, I'll put in a follow. My favorite thing here, and now that I've followed him, I'm afraid this is going to come full circle. This is not a Katz Brothers thing. Katz Brothers can DM me and disappear into the dust for the rest of time. I have no beef with Mike. I'd like to help Mike. Here's what I'd like to help Mike with. Mike's profile picture on Twitter is a photo of a computer screen of a picture of him with the cursor right there. Bud, like, we just got to download a JPEG. We can upload that. Mike, I promise I'll do that for you in 5 minutes. I was saying you email me that picture, and I don't know that you can't, but I will fix that for you. I could probably find this picture elsewhere on the internet. So when you have Ian Rappaport tweet out that you've gotten Travis Kelce a 3-year, $54.735 million deal that can be worth up to $57.735 million, $18.245 million average, I just want people to be able to know who did that. I want you to be in HD without the cursor in your profile picture.
So look, he's too busy negotiating contracts to get to that minutia, Mr. Brisco.
Look up his other clients.
And by the way, Mike, I don't blame you for this. I think you're seeing what all the other agents are doing right now, and that's the big thing. Because what this is for is so that you can show someone a screenshot of when Ian Rappaport tweeted about how much money. So what then they do, this is what like I see certain kinds of advertisement works this way. We've won $186 trillion for our clients in personal injuries. No, you haven't. That's not cool, man. Like, and that's where, like, I get it. That's what's happening because now that 57 million number is going to get added into whatever has been falsely reported about what the fake numbers are in contract. I have obtained over $1 billion worth in my, I get it.
MilkHoneyLA.com/sports, $3 billion plus in football contracts.
And that's it. And it's all for that. And I understand it. It doesn't mean I like it. But honestly, Mike, I get it. This is your profession. This is your job. Who I'm
You're
madder
allowed
at.
to do it better, though, right? Like,
yeah,
you
do
are
it
allowed
better.
to be better at it.
Oh, yeah, be better at it. That's my one thing there. It's a little annoying, but be better at it. I think you could be. That's fine, whatever. Like, your client is Travis Kelce. I think you're not going to have a problem probably
getting the word out.
Yeah, getting the word out. It's hard to say, but like, man, we got like E! News reporting this. USA Today is a $57.7 million contract. And it's like, for the love of, and someone corrected me in the comments. You're right. A lot of people are going to fall for that.
Yes.
Because I saw people responding to Ian's tweet saying, man, I can't believe the Chiefs are committing for another 3 years. It's like, what? They're not.
And then I'll tell you what happens, especially now, the current state of the internet. Then that gets somebody screenshots that and posts it on Instagram, and then 10 accounts make graphics about it, and then it gets posted over to Facebook, and the remaining 240 pixels say that he's getting divorced from Taylor Swift, even though they haven't gotten married yet. And then somebody's grandma goes, I can't believe Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce broke up after he signed that 8-year deal to keep playing football. But I guess Taylor didn't want to be with the man who was putting his career in front of her for the next 3 years. I go, no, grandma, that's not what happened.
So
and this is why when people say they don't understand why God sent a flood, I'm like, you don't?
And you're like, sports agents.
No, because I'm not even, this is what I wanted to get to. I'm not even actually mad at Mike. Like, it's funny to whatever. I don't know the man. I'm sure he's a good dude.
You don't know.
He could have done it more artfully. I'm mad at Ian. Because
fair, absolutely. Because he knows exactly what's happening, he wants a wedding invite or a retirement announcement.
Yes, he is 99% responsible for this. And I have decided, I think I've reached a point, and let me be clear. There are people who are insiders who do it the way my good friend Nathaniel Taylor does it. Who reports things when he can, doesn't when he can't, but will occasionally make grunty noises to try to let you know what's going on. Even when he probably shouldn't. And me and Josh are like, Nate, please don't risk your career.
It's worked out so far because I'm insider.
It's only been for the love of all things holy, Nate.
It's amazing when a joke comes like when a joke goes like the light goes on and you're like, oh, I've stumbled upon something. I've stumbled upon greatness.
Beans! I've done it again. That's how I usually do. So this is this new wave, and I feel like this is only. We all know that the professional first to tweet guys have been tweeting things that agents are asking them to tweet, or teams are asking them to tweet or report for years.
Yes.
It's only in the last like year and a half, 2 years, it's
actually about two and a half years.
It's become
where
so
this trend
blatant.
has happened. Yeah, where you want transparency.
It's just so blatant and gross that all you're doing. I personally do not care if I've got to wait an extra. Oh gosh,
this is the graphic from the agency's Instagram account. Travis Kelce extended 3 years, $54.7 million.
Now, Josh, real quick, why do if I have no leverage and I know my client wants to come back to the team that has previously employed him, and even though we haven't even talked about the other report that suggested he might play elsewhere, literally the day before he said he was going to play for his
Sounds
current
like the Browns must have drawn a line at 3 years, 52.
So okay, if I have no leverage, but I need to get my client his full $12 million, and I'm willing to work with the team on how to structure it to keep him happy, to keep the relationship with the organization. Well, guys, how can I get a win? I'm the agent. I gotta promote. Hey man, I need a win-win too. It can't
You're Travis Kelce's agent. You won so many times.
The win is the $100,000 that you collect. That's what hey, we're gonna Don Draper this again. We're gonna do this again. That's what the money is for. But that's what the money is for. That's your win. The big fat paycheck that you pulled in and you brought home, and your wife said, "Wow, you provide so well." And your kids are like, "Wow, Dad, that's great." And you were like, "No McDonald's tonight. We're going to Wendy's because $100,000 just landed in my pocket for doing nothing. You had to do nothing for that negotiation."
So the reason
Travis Kelce.
So the
What's
reason why
negotiation look like? Travis Kelce's still good at football, right? You still want him on the team?
Again, you know why? The reason why 57. Let me get the numbers exactly right. 57.735 million. Well, as the agent, I can now, as I've promoted on Instagram, not only is my client a top 3 highest paid in terms of full contracts at the tight end position.
Well, I have the most monopoly money per year.
Even though he's already been the highest paid player at his position previously in his career, I just want you to know he's now top 3 in terms of annual year salary based on the 3-year deal that we all came to.
Hey guys, I know you're on the fence. I know you're on the fence about hiring me, but I just want you to know that I got one of the, maybe 5 most clutch and greatest players to ever play the game, top 3 at his position in contract money 1 year.
Not even.
What?
I got the greatest tight end of all time, the biggest poison pill in NFL history. Great, no one's taking it. It's poison. And
again, see, we're back to picking on Mike, and I feel bad.
But look, that is his win, guys.
That's his win. That's his job.
Saying, hey, my guy, in terms of total dollars of said contract, he is just under, and I just want to make sure for accounting purposes, as I go through over the cap, you can do this too, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of total value, technically, he is above Jake Ferguson. He is below Trey McBride and George Kittle.
Why not make it $1 billion?
Yeah.
Why not make it $100 million?
Why not? You're Dr. Eviling it right now.
Yeah.
I want $1 billion. Like, what you're just making stuff up. And that's the thing where, like, with Ian, you are actively misleading. Because you know what Ian's job is supposed to be? Reporting news, not reporting fiction. Like, this is like, it's so frustrating to me.
But on the paper, it says checks notes 54.735 million.
The comment here.
Worth up to 57.735 million.
This comment from Jamin Carter. Those are IOUs, sir. That one's worth $50K. Might want to hold on to that one.
Might want to hold on to it.
No, those are as good as money, sir. Like, those are like, that's, I just don't understand it. And I guess I do. But what makes me so mad, I think, is that it's working, apparently, and no one's rebelling against this. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I am perfectly okay not finding out about contract news for an extra 2 minutes if it means I don't have to read any more copy paste. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Or
that's not
reporting. Or we could wait till the deal's signed, but that's a whole different ball of wax.
At least where we don't report that Mike Evans has signed the 9-year deal worth a franchise. Like, that's very similar. It's a 1-year deal that originally got reported as 9 years, $1 billion. And I'm with Seth here, man. I'd love to just wait until we have terms. Like, if it's news that, hey, Mike Evans is signing with the 49ers, I'm calling it first. I just talked to a dog on the phone, and the dog told me that Mike Evans is a 49er. Fine, tweet it. You're breaking news. If you say, and then here are the contract terms, it's 6 years, $150 million every day he's on the roster, you're not reporting news. You're lying, and you're being obtuse.
Yeah.
So Tucker, may I request, as Parliament, we change off-season lessons to, because we are in the off-season, kids, to
Yeah, we're gonna get to off-season. Somebody asked about that earlier in the show. We are gonna get to off-season lessons, probably just Thursday.
only where like OWG goes inside the game,
No.
and we tell you the truth about the game and how we are insiders.
What it takes to be an insider.
Gotta go play
All
pickleball.
right, we'll talk to you on Thursday. Seth, be careful. I got a contract for you if you want to join the pickleball league. It's 150 years, infinite dollars. Your first 10 years you work for free, and then year 11's up to the team.
Oh.